Having a real bad time, y'all. Thinking about doing the unthinkable, man. Going to my favorite place to relieve my stress. Alcohol. Yeah, buddy. My favorite place to go when I'm stressed. Do a lot of drinking. Let me see if they got my absolute favorite. Oh, they sure do. I'm about to get busy. How many bottles? I'll probably get 4 bottles. 4 bottles of alcohol. What y'all think? 4 bottles will be enough? Man, please, y'all know good somewhere I don't drink. What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Ziggy Doom, man, taking y'all on a little small road trip with me. Road trips help me clear my thoughts and get my head straight, you know, and they real relaxing for me, you know. It's kind of like my getaway. But anyway, man, I want to talk to y'all about parenting. You know, this probably gonna apply to people that are actual parents and have kids. You know, a lot of times there's different takes on parenting, which is fine, you know, but I think we may focus on the wrong areas too much and not enough on certain areas. But let me just get this clear. Let me just get this straight. Put this out here right now. There is no one right way to parent, right? There's no one perfect, guaranteed, absolute way to parent. It's not. It's just too many variables. And if someone says that there is one right way to parent, then you probably want to stop listening to that person right then and there. If someone says there's only one right way to parent, stop listening to them right then and there, because they're delusional. Parenting is one of those things that you learn, and you're not born with that ability. We're not born knowing how to parent, right? Like, you don't just be brought into this world and know how to parent. We get it. We learn how to do it based on our life experiences, more than likely based on how we were parented as we were growing up. And that's probably the main blueprint we use when we parent. Now, that could be good, but it could also be bad, because our kids don't necessarily grow up and become exactly how we were and when we were kids. They don't do the same thing. You know, different generations have different likes, different dislikes, different activities. So we can't necessarily use the way we were raised to raise our children correctly. Now, and you know, most parents want their children to grow up and have more than what they had, and they want them to become better than they are. So if you're using the blueprint that your parents used on you, then it may not necessarily work with your kids. And I hear it all the time, right? My parents went to church. They made me go to church, so I'm gonna make you go to church. Things like that. Well, it's fine to do stuff like that, but do you know why your parents made you go to church? Did they ever tell you why? Because if they didn't tell you why, then you may not know, and you may not be able to tell your kid why. And now you have your child just growing up, well, I went to church because my mama went to church, and her mama went to church, and you know, so I'm gonna make my kids go to church. And I'll even go one step further, like whoopings. Okay, I don't, me, myself, and I don't whoop my children. I don't hit my children. I don't put my hands on my children. But at the same time, parents that do that, it's not wrong. I don't think it's wrong for parents to do that. I will say this though, you know, if your parents whooped you when you were growing up and they never explained why, they just whooped you, then you're not gonna know why you got whooped. So when you whoop your children, it's just, well, my parents whooped me when I did something wrong. I'm gonna whoop my children when they do something wrong. And once again, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But here's the thing about that: when we whoop our children, what's called whoopings. I don't want to say beatings or spankings. Whoopings. That's what I grew up with. The whoopings. When we whoop our children, are we whooping them out of anger or discipline? You know, are we whooping our kids because we're angry and frustrated? God, I'm so mad. I told you not to do that, and you did it, and you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and now I'm just mad and frustrated. So now I'm gonna be physical with you. I'm gonna take it out in a physical way, with a belt, with my hand, whatever. Are we doing it out of anger and frustration, or are we doing it as a motivating tool to discipline them? Like, you know, and honestly, I don't know. I did, my older kids, I did used to whip them, you know, back in the day, I did. And I actually went to a seminar about it, and the guy made a point to me that just stood with me to this day. He said, if somebody hits you, what can you do? You can defend yourself, you can call the police, you know, you can run away, basically. But when you hit your child, what can they do? Can they run away? You know, can they defend themselves? I know growing up, I couldn't hit nobody. I couldn't hit my uncle back when he hit me. Shoot, that would have been the end of my life. So kids don't have the same avenues as we do when someone is, you know, hitting us. And that's the thing. Like, I thought about it and I was like, he's absolutely right. Kids don't have those same avenues. So at that point, I just never put my hands on my kids again, ever. And honestly, growing up, because I did get whoopings and all that stuff, beatings, whatever, not one single time did it teach me anything. It did not teach me to respect whoever was whooping me any more than I did before they whooped me. All it taught me was to fear them. Now, if I don't want my children to fear me, I want my children to respect me. Having your child fear you is easy. It's easy to make your child fear you, but it's hard to make your child respect you. See, that takes a little bit more patience and diligence. And that's what we don't have a lot of times as parents. We don't have that patience and diligence. You know, we'll tell our kids, go clean up the kitchen. Go take out the trash. Go get me a cup of water. Go vacuum the floor. And then when they ask us why, what do we do? What do we say? Because I said so. Parents say that all the time, because I said so. Well, now you got your child doing something for you, and they don't even know why they're doing it. So they're going to be that much less interested in doing it than they were before you told them to do it. I got to clean the kitchen. I don't know why, but I got to clean it. As opposed to just saying, hey, this is why you have to clean the kitchen, right? You want to keep the dishes clean. You don't want to have dirt and stuff on the counter. It may attract bugs and smells, and, you know, you can get sicknesses from stuff like that. You know, now they understand why they're doing it. So it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense to do this. So, you know, maybe then they'll actually want to do it. They'll be more enthused to do it the next time you ask them, and they'll understand it. And those are the kind of things that they'll pass down to their kids. Like, I can't use how I was raised to raise my children. There is no way I can do that, because it will fail fundamentally on so many levels. Because when I was raised, I didn't even understand why I was raised the way I was raised. So because I didn't understand why, and no one ever explained to me why they raised me the way they did, I had to think a little bit on my own. So the blueprint for me to raise my kids was to do exactly opposite of how I was raised. That's basically what it was. The way I was raised, I did the exact opposite with my children, and that's how I raised them. And once again, there's no completely correct way to raise our children. Some children are more receptive to a physical response, a whooping, than they are to a verbal one, you know? Some kids aren't. Some kids will shut down when you put your hands on them, as opposed to just sitting there and talking to them and explaining why. And once going back to the fear versus respect, you know, anybody can make their child fear them, you know, and that child can grow up and prosper. But you brought them up on fear, not respect. So guess what they don't learn growing up? They don't learn respect, because that's not what you showed. That's not what you taught them to give you. You taught them to fear you. You didn't teach them to respect you. Respect will go a lot farther than fear. And people that do things out of fear aren't doing them because they care. They aren't giving you gifts because they care. They aren't doing things to you because they care. They're doing these things because they're afraid if they don't, then they're going to get punished, as opposed to respect. And I think respecting someone is more genuine and sincere than fearing them. Because once again, making your child fear you is absolutely easy. And going to the whooping versus not whooping. Are we whooping our children out of anger and frustration, or are we whooping them out of discipline? And what parent is smart enough to know the difference? How can I know I'm not whooping my kids out of anger and frustration. I know I'm whooping them to discipline them. How do you know? I mean, think about it. How do you know? And there are parents that are set in stone in both ways. I know parents like, the problem with these kids today is they didn't get enough whoopings, you know? And then you got parents that, oh, well, you know, go to timeout, Timmy, and we'll talk about it later. Some parents, I mean, it's checks and balances, I guess. But I don't think if someone does something to you your entire life growing up and they never explained to you why they did it, I don't think you should do that to your kids, because then it's just that same cycle over and over again. And kids grow up differently. I grew up differently than my parents, and my kids grew up differently than me. They do different things than what I do. So I have to understand that. We didn't have social media when I was growing up. So obviously I didn't use social media growing up. But kids have that now, so that's the big thing. That's what they do. So it's not fair for me to say, oh my God, you guys are ruining your lives with this social media all day. Because I didn't go there, I didn't have that experience growing up, so I wouldn't understand. So I try to understand. I sit with my kids and I watch these things with them, and I try to understand it. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I really most of the time have no idea why they like the social media stuff they like. But you know, I don't automatically condemn it. Oh, it's wrong. It's a sin. It's the baddest thing in the world. No, you can't watch this or you can't watch that. I don't automatically condemn it because I don't understand it. I try to understand it. I look at it from certain points of views. I determine myself if it's appropriate or not appropriate. If it's appropriate, I'm okay with it. If it's not appropriate, then I'm not okay with it. That's how I handle that situation. But that's just how I parent. And I'm not telling y'all need to parent like I parent, because that would be very hypocritical when I literally said at the beginning of this video, there's no one right way to parent. But we have to really do gut checks and ask ourselves, are we effective parents? Am I an effective parent? And obviously growing up in a single parent household is going to be different than growing up in a mom and dad household, obviously. And you're going to face different challenges, but that doesn't make any excuses. You know, if you have a child, you have to do your best for that child in any situation. And another thing, I think we should lead by example, right? Like, I can't tell my children, oh, don't watch that on TV because there's curse words, or oh, don't watch that person on TV because look at the way they dress. And then I'm literally cursing all day and dressing the same way as the people I'm telling them not to dress like. That will confuse the child. I don't care how smart your child is. At some point, they're going to scratch their head and be like, what? You know? And of course, if they say, you know, but wait a minute, you're doing the exact same thing you're telling me not to watch on TV. What's the difference? Most parents, well, I can't say most, some parents might take that as disrespect and lash out. But why? Why would you take it as disrespect? How is it disrespectful if your child's asking you a question that they don't understand? That's how they learn. And it's your job to answer the question instead of just, oh, shut up. Oh, get out of here. Don't disrespect me. That doesn't make sense, man. We have to lead by example. How am I going to be doing all of these negative things in front of my children and tell them not to do it, and then get mad at them when they do it? That's not right. Leading by example. Everything starts from the home, the household, everything. Your children wake up in the household, they go to sleep in the household. So that's where they get their first influences and impressions from. When they're either not getting any influences and impressions from the house, or they're getting ones they don't understand from the house, guess where they go to get their influences and impressions? The streets. They go out in the streets, and that's where they get their impressions and impersonations from. The streets. That's where they get all their things from. And that is the streets is the worst place to teach a child. Let me just tell you, the streets. And when I say the streets, I mean friends, because friends come from the streets. I mean television and things that are depicted on television, because it comes from the streets. I mean everything outside of the household. That's where that's where they go to get their learning from. In my opinion, you may have dropped the ball as a parent, because I don't want my kids feeling more comfortable asking anybody in the street something before me. I want my kids to be able to ask me anything they want to ask me before they go to the streets, because the streets is going to always give them the worst advice, because the streets is a conglomeration of what's popular versus what's not. And 9 times out of 10, the most popular thing for young children to do and young teens is the wrong thing. That is what's the most popular thing. Drinking, underage drinking, smoking, all that stuff. That is what's popular. And the majority wins in the streets. So they gonna get the wrong information. They gonna soak up the wrong knowledge from the streets. And once again, there's always exceptions to rules. I grew up around drinking, smoking, drugs, violence, gangs, all of that. I could have easily went that route, but I didn't. Maybe I'm an anomaly or something. I don't know. I'm a strange dude. But I'm just saying there's exceptions to the rules. But your children should not fear you. They should respect you. If it has a resort to fear, then you might have skipped some steps. And that's another thing about parenting that a lot of people may not have. Patience. I had to learn patience. I have a lot of kids. I have more kids than anybody I personally know. Right? So when people give me advice on how to raise my children, I take it into consideration. But, and I bits and pieces have points. But overall, until you have that same or very similar situation as that person, it's kind of hard to give them advice. It's kind of hard for a dude with one child's mother to give me household maintenance advice. It's like, I get what you're saying. I appreciate it. But, bro, when you got 7 kids running around, all from all different backgrounds, versus one child, it's a lot different, But I had to learn patience with my children. Now, I was one of those parents that just thought that if I put a roof over my kids' head and clothes on their back and I send them to school, then I'm a good parent. I thought that for a while. And that's not, that is almost asinine to think that way, because putting a roof over a child's head, clothes on their back, food on their table is what you are supposed to do. It doesn't make you a good parent. That's what you're supposed to do. So doing that at the bare minimum and wanting kudos or brag about it or posting on social media, I just bought my daughter some new clothes, what a great parent I am. Nah. And to be honest, if you want kudos for what you do as a parent, then you might be coming at it wrong. I don't think you should get kudos for being a parent. The kudos you get is from creating life. That's the kudos you should get. Now, when that life you create can blossom and become better than you, okay, kudos. But you can't get kudos just because you have a kid and they live in your house. Nah. And a lot of parents do that. You know, sometimes we rate ourselves a little bit highly than we should. If I ask any of my friends, are you a good parent? They gonna say, yeah, I'm a good parent. I'm a good mother. I'm a good father. And then if I ask them why, what do you mean why? What do you mean why I'm a good parent? I take care of my kids. I keep them fed. I put a roof over their head. I make sure they go to school. They get good grades in school. That's it. That's why you think you're a good parent? No. Like, how you gonna take credit for that child's good grades if you never sat there and went over the homework with the child, went over the assignments with the child? How you gonna give yourself kudos for that? Oh, my child is a straight A student. They get all A's and everything. Yeah, but have you read a book with them? Have you like went to any of their book fairs? Anything to that nature? I mean, like, come on, man. We pat ourselves on the back a little bit too much and a little bit too soon as parents. So in conclusion, because I'm almost to my destination, I just want to say this. There is no one right way to parent, and we all can do a better job of it. And in order to do a better job of it, we're going to have to swallow our pride a little bit and be willing to think outside of the box. Communicate more with our children. You know, you don't even have to talk to them every day, have family meetings, but at least once or twice, have a family meeting. Hey, what's up with everybody? How's everybody doing? What y'all thinking? You know, check in on them. You ain't got to say nothing. Just walk in the room, see what they doing. I do it all the time to my kids, and they be thinking I'm crazy. Like, what is wrong with this guy? Why he just stick his head? But I just like to know what my children are doing. Know that they're safe, even though they in my house. And as far as whoopings versus not whoopings, hey, I can't tell any grown-up how to discipline their child, but I don't think whooping a child is more effective than talking to them, understanding the problem, and addressing it that way. And if that doesn't work, withholding privileges, you know. And if all else fails, sometimes you might gotta put the hands on them a little bit. But hey, at least try to diffuse the problem without being physical first, just to see if it works. But I mean, you're an adult. We all adults, man. We're gonna do what we want to do, whether anybody listens to this video or not. That's just my take on it. Hopefully somebody out there, you know, it gave them a little light bulb came on somewhere, like, hey, maybe, and maybe not. Maybe people like, whatever, Ziggy, you just running your mouth, you don't know nothing, like most people do. They don't listen to me. But in either case, man, I'm just putting it out there for y'all. You know, thank y'all for listening. Y'all know my channel, I got music videos and stuff coming down the line. They opened up the gyms, so now I can get this 270 pounds down. Yes, I got up to 270 pounds, and I look like a whale, and I can't have that. But gym's open now, so I'm gonna get back into it. But that's it, man. You know, thanks for sharing, thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, thanks for supporting. I always say that, and I'm never gonna stop saying that to my fans, because I am an introvert, and there's people that still, you know, listen to me. So thank all y'all, my core fans. Thank everybody else. You know, like the video, don't like the video, but just hopefully you got something out of the video. And until the next video, I'm out.